And here I am, 33 hours into this week's fast. That's right, 33 hours. And if you've ever fasted this long, you know this is where things get interesting. But here's what I want you to hear. I'm not just here depending on willpower. I'm not white knuckling my way through this 33 hours. I am walking through this moment with something better. Structure, planning. Yeah. So if you're fasting right now, or if you're thinking about fasting in the future, this check-in is for you. Let me show you how structure is actually carrying me through this moment and how it can carry you too as you work on your metabolism. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. Welcome back if you're new to me. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications. We're going to the next level. We're creating that life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. That means that we're not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We are showing up with our best selves, our best health, and our best plans. We're breaking through those boundaries. We're pushing through those obstacles, and we are breaking out of those constraints. If you are new, go ahead and put new in the comments because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that we are excited that you are in the space with us. If you do have questions, go ahead and put those questions into the chat so that we can get to those. We want to make sure that we answer all of those for you. And as we do, I've got my monitors that we're going to take a look at here in just a minute, which will show you what my blood sugars have been doing. And also I've got my Dexcom Clarity Report right below me so you can see what's been happening with my blood sugars over the last several days. Whatever platform you are on right now, I welcome you to this space because we are always happy when we have folks from LinkedIn or Twitch or Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, and of course, wherever you are right now, thank you for coming through and hanging out with us. So I am 33 hours into this week's fast. If you have not done so, if you've not been with us on our series, whether it's the 100-day walk to consistency or as we are doing now, the strength, strategy, and mindset, you want to make sure that you join us because that is a part of what we're doing in this space, working on improving our metabolism. There are several components to what we're doing, and all of them are just fascinating. They are full of real life experiences. Let me just say, let me say it that way. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pull up for you so you can see what's been going on with. Let's do this. I'm going to pull up for you one of our episodes that we've been doing here on strength, strategy, and mindset so that you can see what we've been doing as we've been doing presses and we've been doing curls, we've been doing squats. Let's go ahead. Yeah, let's do that right now. There you go. Of course, we've been doing some squats. We've been doing some dumbbell presses. We've been doing pelvic tilts. We've been doing dead bugs. So all of those are with the intention of giving you the tools that you need to have so that you can continue improving your health. So here's some dead bugs that we've got going on as I'm there. So if you've not been with us on any of those mini series, you want to make sure that you are joining us, that you are doing what you need to do to be successful so that we can reverse our diabetes, improve our metabolic health, and all of the things that we talk about as we are moving through that space, okay? The strength, strategy, and mindset is part of our MOVE campaigns. Remember, metabolic optimization via exercise, MOVE. So we've got the walking that we did, the 100-day walk to consistency and health. We've got the strength, strategy, and mindset that's going on right now. As part of the health action plan, we've got our fasting, which we'll talk about here as we go through this space. So lots of different things that we have available on the channel that are directly related to the things that we're talking. So we're not just talking theory. That's why the health action plan is actually called the action plan. So the health action plan, it is the health functional arm of limitless living. And so the things that we do, the things that we talk about, it needs your input. It needs your action for those things to take effect in your life. So don't just let this be theory that you come and you watch and you listen, but we want to make sure that you are engaged, and we're providing all of those various tools and all of those various series that we have for you to be able to do that. Okay, so make sure that you get out there and you join us in that space. For those of you who are in our community, then we will be having our community meetup on Thursday, which is actually tomorrow, Thursday at 7 p.m. We'll be doing that right here in our space. You'll get that Zoom link. If you've not joined our community, you want to make sure that you do that as well, because that is a wonderful way to support each other and to get yourself in the position of making sure that you are being successful. All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars and see what's been going on with blood sugars. We'll hop over, we'll also take a look at my report. So here is my this is my Libre. So my Libre right now says that my blood sugar is 79. And we're looking at this number right about here. So 79. And you'll see that it's 79 and consistent going across. Down below, right about here, this is what my graph has been showing over the past 12 hours. And you'll see that, I don't know, right about 9 o'clock this morning maybe, we started out with blood sugars that were right at about 100, and then it dropped below 100 and kind of stayed there. It hasn't gone below 78 yet. Once again, I am 33 hours into our fast. And then let's go ahead and let's see what the Dexcom is saying. Once again, that's what my blood sugar is right now. And then further down, you'll see that this right here. This is what my blood sugar has been doing over the past 24 hours. So let's go ahead, and what I like about this is I can actually put my finger on these numbers, and you can actually see what the numbers have been. So here we started out right about 24 hours ago, and 119, one low teens, 100s, actually 102, and down into the morning, right? And then we're about to see what I call the toothpaste effect, which happens right here about 6:30-ish. So when I get up and start going for the day, brush my teeth, and you see that blood sugar goes from, I don't know, low one teens and begins climbing up into, I think it got up to, what was the highest there, 133 maybe, and then started coming back down over the course of the day. And there we are, hovering right around 100, and then starting to drop, and so now to where we are right now. Okay, and then let's hop over and let's take a look at what my monitors are saying. I've got my Keto Mojo and I've got my Contour, and I'm gonna grab my container, get this out of the way. And I need a brown one for glucose. I need a blue one for ketones. And I need some Lancets, which I'll take out there. And then I will need a strip for the Contour. So let's go ahead and get that in and see what those numbers are. If you have been joining us, you saw what we ate for our last meal yesterday as we started our fast, and then if you joined us today, we had a great conversation. If you've not done so yet, go back and watch both of those episodes, and of course watch the episode that we did on Monday as we continued our discussion about the Limitless Living Health Action Plan, and specifically did a second installment of our show on structure and planning, because that is structure and planning is really important in what we're doing, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we get into our episode for tonight. Okay, so I've got those in, And I'm going to go ahead and pull this up so we can compare those. And grab a lancet, find a finger, and I'm going to grab this one right here, and ow, 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 ow. Okay, so that was a pretty brisk drop. All right, so let's get that in, get that started. Okay, so 68 is what the Keto Mojo says. Contour says that it is 82, and then right here, this is what the Dexcom says. So while that's going, I'm going to grab my ketone strip and get that in. And let's make sure that this doesn't dry on us. Let's get that started, and okay, I think that should work. I was afraid that it had already started drying. See how quickly that happens? And if we're not careful. Okay, so let's go ahead, and what do you think it's going to be? And 0.4. 0.4 is what the ketones are. So great place right here actually for us to talk. I spent some time today talking to one of our patients in the office about ketones. So let me do this really quickly. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the Keto Mojo app because there was a question that came up. I'm going to go ahead and address that right here. And let's go ahead and get this synced. So I'm syncing the app with the Keto Mojo here, so we get those numbers pulling over. And we've not been looking at the app recently, so this is a good opportunity to do that as well. So here you'll see that the ketones are 0.4. Okay, and we can actually go back to this one now because we don't need the meter itself. So you see there the ketone is 0.4 and my blood sugar is 68. If I go backwards, right, and pull up what my ketones and blood sugars were last week when we were doing this, you'll see here there on the 20th, ketones 0.8, glucose 60. And then going backwards the day before, ketones were 1.1, and I'm looking at this, kind of looking at these numbers right here, right? So I'm looking at the turquoise number, those are the ketones, and the gray or red, those are blood sugars. And one of the points that I want to make is that ketones that are less than 0.5 are considered normal. So if you're not fasting, if you're not on a ketogenic diet, if you're not on a fasting mimicking diet, then your ketones are going to be less than 0.5. There are times when maybe you haven't eaten for a while, you're not on a ketogenic diet, you're not really fasting, but something happens, you may be sick and you didn't eat, and so you may have ketones that will go up. But normal ketones are less than 0.5. 0.5 to 1.5, those ketones are considered nutritional ketosis. So if you've not eaten, if you're in a ketogenic diet, then your ketones will be 0.5 or higher. And those don't happen as soon as you stop eating. Remember, the first 6 hours are considered the postprandial period. And we'll talk more about that as we do our complete check-in on Friday. So the first 6 hours are considered the postprandial period. So you may not have, right? You may not have ketones in those first 6 hours. As a matter of fact, you may not have ketones for the first 24 to 36 hours, depending on what's been going on, the food that you've eaten, what's been going on in your body. But when you get ketones that are 0.5, those are considered, you're now considered to be in ketosis. And at that point, it actually doesn't matter how high those ketones go. And specifically now we're talking type 2 diabetics. Type 1 is a whole nother conversation. And when I say it doesn't matter, not that the higher you go, well, let me say it a little differently. Don't be distressed if you get into ketosis and your ketones stay at 0.5 or 0.6 or 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. You are in ketosis and your body is burning fat. So if you're seeing that those ketones are kind of hanging in that 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8 range, that is not a bad thing. You are still in ketosis. Okay? That is actually a good thing. And I get excited whenever I see ketones, regardless of what level they're at. And you've seen over the last, when was it? Several months ago, we had some strips that were kind of giving us crazy numbers. And so I think I fasted for 48 hours. I think one time we fasted for 72 hours, and the strip said 0.1 or something like that, right? So I knew something was amiss. But I'm looking for ketones that are 0.5 or higher, which is why whenever I'm checking, right, if I see ketones at 0.5, sometimes the keto will go to 1.1, go down to 0.8, go to 0.5, and that doesn't distress me as long as there are ketones. Okay, so remember that was you're looking for. You're looking for those ketones to be positive. All right, so now let's go ahead and, so that's where I am right now. And just a couple of other comments. So you'll see 3 numbers on the screen. You see this big number here, the 9.4. Then you'll see 2 smaller numbers, 68 and 0.4. The big number is what's called the glucoketo index, and that is just a division of my glucose by ketones. Now, if you look at that, you'll see, well, that if I divide 68 by 0.4, that doesn't work out to be 9.4. So let me go ahead and I'm going to pull up my calculator. And well, let me first get to this. So 68, because what we're looking at that point is we're looking at in an international conversion. So I've got to take my blood sugar, 68, divided by 18, and I'll get a number, and that number now I divide by 0.4, and that gives me the 9.4 that we saw right here. So it's a calculation, and so just for our conversation, we want the glucoketo index, this number right here, the big number, we want that number to be as low as possible. We want the blood sugar down here to also be low, and we want the ketones to be high. So like right now, my blood sugar is 68. I love it. Why? Because that means that my body is using up all the sugar that's floating around, and there's not a whole lot there. As that happens, my insulin level continues to drop, and because the insulin goes down, then my ketones begin going up. Right? So you see the combination of things that are going on there. So let's go ahead and let's hop over and let's take a look at my Dexcom clarity report so that we can see what's been going on blood sugar wise over the last several days. And you'll see the first thing is right here. That is my average blood sugar over the last 2 weeks, last 14 days. And I tell people I want their average blood sugar to be between 100 and 120. Okay, so 121, that's close enough. My glucose management indicator is 6.2, which means that if I were to get an A1C, then it should approximate a 6.2. It probably is not going to be exactly a 6.2 because this number is a calculation. Okay, let's go down here because I want to make a point here. So when I look at this graph that you're seeing is an indication of what the blood sugars have been doing over the course of the last, I think this is what, 24 hours, last 12 hours, so 12 a.m. to, well, 24 hours. And so notice that these blood sugars are being checked every 5 minutes is what the Dexcom does. The Libre does it every minute. So the number that we got up here, this number is the average of all the numbers that we got here divided by whatever number that is. Okay, so if I take 24 hours, well, I got to do some math. So if I take there are 100, so let's see, 1,440 minutes in a day, right? So 1,000. Let's do the math together. Let me show you that. So 1,440 minutes in a day. And this thing checks it every 5 minutes. So if I divide that by 5, then I'll get 288 times during the day that the Dexcom will be checking my blood sugar. So what it does, it takes all of those numbers and it averages them up over the course of the day. So it is an average of the blood sugars that I've gotten over the course of the day. That's what that number is. I can't call this an A1C because it's a calculated number. When I go to the lab, however, the value that I'm getting from the lab is an actual indication of every single moment that my blood has been exposed to sugar. So it is a more accurate number because it's not an average. So sometimes you will see, some people will get an A1C, and the A1C, they say, well, I've been looking at this number, and this number says that my A1C was supposed to be 6.3. But when you got it on the lab, the A1C was, 6.9, 6.8. And it's simply because that this is an average. And the real number is what you get from the lab. Okay? All right. So I just want to make that point. So I am in target 100% of the time according to this. And that target is anywhere from 70 to 180. Another point as we walk through this together, the 70 to 180 is a number that we came up with. When I say we, that's the community, that's the industry, that's the medical community. We decided that we were going to allow blood sugars to be between 70 to 180. It's a safety issue. Lower than 70 considered low, and then at 180, we're like, yeah, we don't want it to be above that. But a normal blood sugar, your body is expecting blood sugars to be normal between 70 and 99. That is a normal blood sugar. That's why if someone has a blood sugar of 100 to 125, they're considered to be pre-diabetic because it's higher than normal. Not quite diabetes yet, but it's higher than what's considered normal. 70 to 99 is considered normal. So if your blood sugar gets above 99, then that number is abnormal to the body. So I just want to make sure that you guys get that. All right, so let's go ahead and now let's take a look at what my blood sugar average is over the last 90 days. Over the last 90 days. So over the last 90 days, my average blood sugar is 115 with a glucose management indicator of 6.1. So that means that my blood sugars have been a little higher over the last 2 weeks than they were over the last 90 days. Because remember, the average over the last 2 weeks was 121, and the glucose management indicator was 6.2. Still in range 98% of the time. Well, we were 100, now we're 98, and the range is still the same, 70 to 180. All right, let's go ahead and actually take a look at the blood sugars themselves. And so here is where my blood sugar is, and this is just another view of what we saw on the graph, but I want to, on the app, I mean. But the reason I'm going through this, I want you to see the days before this so we can see what's been going on blood sugar wise. And so 98, right, low 100s into the morning. And right about here is what we talked about, that the toothpaste. I have to think about it. Toothpaste effect, right? So we got up to 130, but prior to that, we were running in the low 100s, low teens. Going back, so if we start right here, going back 24 hours ago, this is where we were. And that's where we ate our last meal. And if you've not seen that meal yet, go back and watch it. And so we spiked up to, 137 was the highest that we got. And then went into the teens, into what we just saw, so 137. And so when you're eating your last meal, you want that meal to not cause a big spike in blood sugar, okay? Now, coming into that, right? So coming into that, remember we talked about the fact that my son's birthday was this weekend, and so we were eating birthday cake, right, and celebrating. And so these numbers that you're seeing right here are the effect of birthday cake and cupcakes and whatever else was available. And so that brought me into the morning, right? Into the morning with those numbers, but then the numbers started dropping down as I got into the day, and then we started fasting right here, which brings us up to what we've just seen, okay? and then going backwards. So on Friday, so we broke our fast right here about Friday, and you guys once again saw what I ate to break the fast. And so we started in 1 teens and spiked up, spiked up, spiked up. I think we got up to maybe 150. Okay, that's, yeah, 150 right there. And yeah, 160 perhaps, 162 was the highest that we got right here. And so this was, so notice, right, so we broke the fast here. What we ate actually did a good job of keeping the blood sugar down, but then we ate again, you see a hump there, and we ate again, we see the hump there. So it is the accumulation of all those that led to that 160 that you see, that 162. Okay, awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and let's say hello to some of our community members that I see out there. And let's see, who do we have? We got a couple of people that I see. Just wanted to say a quick shout out. And so I see Juyeon that's out there. She says, hi, Dr. and LLG. Hi, LLG. So glad that you're here, Juyeon. And then Steve says hello. Juyeon saying hello to Steve. Hello, Juyeon. Juyeon says, Steve, I was so inspired by your ketogenic diet and fasting plan. Please share your ketogenic diet. Gion, it's a habit now. It's our habit now. So Steve, yeah, so Steve is always, when you, well, not always, but whenever he's posting, you'll see that his ketones, he's doing a ketogenic diet. So he's trying to maintain ketosis during his quote unquote, non-fasting times as well. And so Gion says, amazing. Says my ketones were 1.2 this morning and now they're 2.1. Oh, it's 2.3. So see, so those ketones will fluctuate depending on the length of time in the fast, what you ate coming into the fast, and so forth. Well, actually, I don't think you guys are seeing all that, right? So let me go back for a minute, and let's get that there. And okay, so Steve was saying hello. So hi, Steve. Hello, Gion. And of course, this is what I just read, but just wanted you to see the words. It's our habit now, according to Steve. Amazing. Ketones 1.2 this morning and now 2.3. So, wow, great, Steve. So your ketone numbers are inspiring. See, you're always in ketosis. I've been since I got my meter. So I love it. Steve says 0.8 is the lowest I've seen. 3.5 is the highest. Awesome, awesome. Our eating habit, ketosis. Thank you, Steve. And Steve says, today my meal was squash, cucumber, green beans, tomatoes, all from the garden, and chicken wings. I love it, love it, love it. Awesome. So that is that's what's going on there. That's what's been going on with Steve. And there you see the numbers that we're getting in terms of where we are in our blood sugar. So just love that. So let's go ahead and hop into our discussion for tonight, and so we can move through that. Let's do that right now. All right. So I was there talking. I was like, hey, I'm not on the screen. So let's go ahead and let's have our discussion. So we are in our fast, and we're 33 hours into the fast. And an important conversation to have here as we are continuing and moving into further fasting hours is that what I want to say is that fasting has amazing benefits, and we've all kind of talked about that. We've done shows about that. We've done shows about writing metabolism, and we've been doing fasting now as a community for quite some time. And there is the tendency to still sometimes almost white knuckle it, through fasting. What I mean by that is just to kind of bear it and bear through it and think that, okay, I just have to push through. And if I push through, everything is all right. But what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about structure. So we want to say structure is not just a planning tool, right? It's a protective mechanism. It's your guardrail when energy is low. It's your guide when clarity fails. And it's your anchor when emotions rise. Because as we're going through the fasting at 33 hours, your success isn't about being strong. It's not about the strength you feel. It's about how strong your system is. Because even when we are quote unquote strong, right? People say, okay, I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be, if I had better, and I'm trying to think of the word that they use, but if I was really interested in my health, then this fasting would not be an issue. And that is absolutely not the case. Okay? So when you kind of bear it and you succeed, when you push your way through and you're just white knuckling, okay, I just barely get it through. You know what that is? That's called magic. And just like you made it through this time, it's possible to not make it through the next time because it's poof, right? That's smoke and mirrors. So what we want is we don't want willpower. We don't want to rely on your willpower. We don't want to rely on your hustle. We don't want to rely on your guessing. We don't want to rely on luck. What we want to rely on is rhythm, design, and structure. Because the structure reflects our identity. That's when fasting stops being this thing that we endure and it becomes part of who we are. It is the thing that we do. Now, but we'll talk a little bit more about this, but I just want to give you a thought here. And this, if you don't hear anything else I say, this is the thought that I want you to get. And the thought is that you are in charge. I'm pausing there because I want you to hear that. You are in charge of what happens in the fast, before the fast, and after the fast. So during the fast, you can decide that you're going to end the fast at that moment. For example, I'm doing a 72-hour fast. I can decide at any point in that fast, you know what? Right now I'm supposed to do a 72, but I'm going to end it. And I end it for whatever reason, what particular reason, because I am the one that's in charge. There is no shame, there's no doubt, there's no guilt in me saying that I'm ending the fast. It is a decision that I'm making. Why do I make a decision? Because the decision that I'm making maybe fits into my plan. Okay? All right. So what's happening at 33 hours? What's going on when we get to 33 hours? Let's talk about that. And it is the process that we go through when we're talking about how the body is shifting. My insulin is going down because my blood sugars are dropping. And you see that there as we looked at the graphs. That means my body is shifting into ketosis. Those first 6 hours when it's shuttled everything into where it needs to be. It's put all the stuff in the liver, and it sends some energy to my lungs, and it sends some energy to my heart, and everything is being packaged. Everything has been packaged up, and my insulin level starts going down because my blood sugar is lower. And when my blood sugar is 68, as you just saw, my insulin level is low. When my insulin level becomes low, then my body starts beginning to burn fat. It's using calories. You're not just burning calories, you're actually training your metabolism to be flexible. You're entering enhanced ketosis now. So my glycogen at 24 hours is pretty much gone, and I am now going into that 24 to 36 hours, right? Because we said it takes about 24 to 36 hours for the glycogen in the liver to go away. So I'm in that space now where my body is about to switch. My brain fog is lifting. Yeah? And sometimes if I'm not hydrated or not rested, this is the place where people feel that that shift, and they feel like they're more tired. Hormones are beginning to shift. Growth hormone is increasing. Inflammation begins to drop. Autophagy is going up. Remember that cleanup process? All of that is ramping up. So now let's zoom out a little bit. So emotionally, this is a vulnerable moment. You might feel clear, or you might feel cravings. And the reason you feel cravings is because your body is used to having that sugar. And so as the blood sugar begins dropping, and particularly depending on what you ate coming into the fast, because remember that insulin level has to go down. And if insulin peaks and it stays around for a little longer because something we ate caused our blood sugar to stay a little higher, and the insulin stayed around a little longer, so we can have cravings. Cravings also come because for me today, for example, well, not today, but yesterday, going back to yesterday, when I started my fast, and the reason I start my fast on Tuesdays after my meeting is because at the meeting, my team is eating stuff. We're eating and we're sitting in the room. We're having a meeting. And we talk to each other the rest of the time too. But this is a time we get everybody sitting around the table, and we're talking about the practice. We're talking about patients. We're talking about each other. We're talking about our what's going on. How do we do this? So we're having our meeting, and we are socializing. And so cravings also come from what? It's come from that habit that we're in. So you may feel in control at this time, so 33 hours, or you may feel on edge. Right? So this is the period where all of that is happening. And this is the period where a lot of people will say, okay, I can't fast. Because this is the turning point in your fast. And this is where structure steps in to carry you through. Because all those things are happening, and if we're not careful, if we don't have the structure, then we switch. And we give up. We say, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. Okay? So willpower versus structure. Let's talk a little bit about that. And I want to pause here to address this directly. Most people don't succeed with their fast not because of hunger. Let me say that. It's not because they're hungry. I spent a lot of time today talking to several people in the office about the difference between hunger and cravings and appetite. Physical hunger is the body's need for energy. It's the thing that says, hey, I don't have any energy right now, go get me some. So if I'm fasting, okay, we're going to jump to fasting because that's what we're doing. If I'm fasting, and my body is now using ketones, because, for instance, you may have checked it, the ketones are elevated, then there is no need for your body to say to you, go get me energy. Because it has stored energy. And if you believe the statistics and believe the studies, most of us have quite a bit of stored energy available to us. So it is not physical hunger. It is a hunger that comes from the emotion. It's psychological hunger. Now, that's not to say that it's not powerful. And I think that's the mistake we sometimes make, because we think, oh, because it's not physical hunger, I can just deal with it. Well, guess what? Sometimes the things that are emotional can be just as strong, if not even stronger, than some of the things that are physical. Think about it. Think about the people who endure physical pain but have trouble with emotional pain. Their arm is hurting and they get through that. but somebody hurts their feelings, or they have some history or something that happens in their childhood, and that pain is much stronger. So emotions are strong. So don't let anybody convince you that just because it's an emotional thing or a mental thing that it does not have power. It has tremendous power. That's why people sometimes will give up in this space, because of decision fatigue. You know what decision fatigue is? Decision fatigue is where your brain says, I can't make another choice. I've gone through the day, and the day has been so hectic, and I've gone through it. I didn't eat the candy. I didn't eat the cookie that they had at work. I didn't eat the pasta. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. You know, I had to make a decision about that report. I didn't go off on my boss when they chewed me out. My report that I did, I thought it was great, but that didn't work out. Something's going on in my relationship. And there are all these decisions that we have to make throughout the entire day, so that when we get to the nighttime, the brain says, I am not making any more decisions. So you want to eat cookies? Let's go. Let's have it. You want to eat candy? Let's do it. You want to break the fast? Okay, who cares? And you've been there, right? Should I keep going? Should I break the fast now? Do I need to eat a little something? Just in case? People can't really go for 24 hours without eating, can they? What you're experiencing is that fatigue, that system fatigue. When you're trying to make every health decision, every fasting decision, every decision in real time, moment by moment, it's a struggle. Should I not? Should I not? When everything feels like a negotiation, when your brain is spending calories trying to think instead of trying to heal. But now in contrast, with the systems that we have, your schedule is mapped, your meals are planned, your breaks are predetermined, your identity is aligned with your structure, rhythm, alignment, structure. Remember that? It's not pressure, it's peace. When you remove the decision, you remove the drag, right? So that, okay, I got to make the decision. Oh, let me go, right? And when the drag disappears, that's when fasting becomes a healing rhythm. Now, I'm gonna tell you, for me, fasting isn't always simple. There are times, and I think I'm trying to remember when that was, several weeks ago, where it was a particularly trying week. So I had some talks I need to do. I was traveling. We had come back from somewhere, and there were lots of things going on in the family and the office, right? There was all of this stuff happening. And in the middle of that, my fasting time started. And so the cues were there. The emotions were there. The access was there. The taste was there, and the idea that, oh, I remember what those things did for me. But I couldn't make those decisions in real time. I had to rely on the structure I had put in place. Let me give you a window into my actual fasting day. I start my fast Tuesday afternoon after my meeting. I used to start it at random times in the evening, right? So 6 o'clock today, 7 o'clock. Well, not today, but 1 week, right? So 1 week I do at 6 o'clock, 1 week I do 7 o'clock, 1 week I do 9 o'clock. But I decided, okay, after the meeting, we start the fast. And we end the fast on Friday at the same time. Whatever time we start is when we end the fast on Friday. 72 hours, boom, there it is. That is non-negotiable. I don't decide that, okay, today I'm going to start at 1 o'clock in the morning. Or don't decide that I'm starting at another time. Now, that is not a restrictive decision. That is a structural planning decision. So that I know during that period of time, I don't have to make a decision. I decide what I'm going to eat prior to the fast starting based on what is available. And if you guys have heard me talk about this, so I do that deliberately because I want you to understand that it doesn't matter what's around you. You can still make choices that are healthy and in keeping with balanced bites. So we have food brought in on Tuesdays for the meeting, usually. And from that food, I create what my last meal is going to be before I start the fast. And then I anticipate what is my first meal going to be when I end the fast. So that's all decided for the most part. Okay? Because I know what we're going to have for lunch, usually before lunch on Tuesday. And I've been asking you to give me some recommendations. Now, there are some things that are in my breaking my fast meal that's always going to be there. There's always going to be a salad. If you remember when we first started, I did it with bone broth. I did it with beans. I did it with lots of different things. But the structure now has been put in place. So those are my bookends. I get up in the morning. If it's one of those mornings where I'm doing my workout, we're out there. If it's a morning when I'm doing my walking, I'm doing that. Sometimes the walking or the workout gets shifted throughout the day based on what's going on. Because I'm burning those calories. Because we're in rhythm. As I'm walking through the day, I use the COPE model to reflect throughout the day. I mentioned to you before that on my phone, there is an alarm that goes off twice a day. It says, are you willing at this time to do what it takes to be successful? That's all it says. And that reminds me, okay, am I right now living in limitless living? Am I in keeping with that? Do I need now to take a break? Is there something going on? Because think about it, you get into your day, and if you're not careful, right, you go through the day and you just bottle up all of the emotions that are coming. Now, I don't need that, because what happens at the end of the day, if I do that, I show up and I want to eat Cadbury. I'm not sure why I picked Cadbury, but just if you're in the community, you understand that. I use the COPE model to reflect right at that time. Clarify, observe, pause, execute. When lunch comes, during the day, when I'm fasting, my team gets up and everybody goes to have their lunch. They go to the break room. Maybe they have lunch in there, or they go down, they go out. I have a plan. I know what I do. On certain days, I have a meeting. Other days, I have a plan that gets me through that process. I may go downstairs. I may go for a walk during that time. Because I had to put structure in place if I was going to be successful. And I follow the plan. And if I follow the plan, then things work out. Now, I'm going to say this to you, right? You want to hear a secret? There are times when the plan, even though the plan is there, there's something that happens that may cause some changes, some fluctuation. But the likelihood of me succeeding goes up because there's a plan. You guys may recall several weeks ago, or more than several weeks now, probably several months, that we had some friends that came into town. And we were going out. And during that time, I broke the fast at the restaurant. Well, I decided before that, but we broke the fast. I made the decision that I was going to do that. I interrupted it because it's my choice. So that's what structure does for you. It doesn't eliminate, let me say it a little differently. Structure eliminates the friction, or it decreases the friction. It gives the discomfort that you feel a container to go into. Because the question isn't, can I push through? The real question is, have I built a rhythm I can lean on? Have I built a system that allows me to be successful in what I want? So let's talk about the Limitless Living Health Action Plan and the identity that you're creating that connects with that. And here's where it all locks in. If you watch the Monday show, we talked about how structure reinforces identity. This is how you stop being someone who's trying to fast and become someone who's living in rhythm with their healing. I'm not trying to fast. I am someone who fasts because that's what is beneficial for me, beneficial for my health. So let's connect it with the pillars. Okay? So fasting isn't a last-minute decision. It's a mapped rhythm with windows for rest and refeeding. Let me say that again. So the fast is not, there's this thing I'm going to do. Or they say I should do it. Or I'm thinking about it. It is a rhythm that happens every single week. And in the fast, there is a eating period and there's a refeeding period. I want you to listen. You hear what I'm saying? So the fasting is not a thing that gets inserted into my life. And then when I'm not fasting, I get back to real life. No. Fasting is a part of. And there's a feeding part of the fast, the refeeding part, and there is a non-feeding part. That's the fast. And it simply is what we do. Balanced bites, when we talk about the way we feed, every bite counts. It's not about restriction. It's a pre-built plan for your metabolic needs. It's how I think about food. It is structure. It is planning. Walking isn't just a nice idea. It's a scheduled action that moves blood sugar, that improves inflammation, and that helps my mindset. Remember metabolic optimization via exercise, MOVE. This is who I am now. I am someone who walks in rhythm. I am someone who fuels my body with intention. I'm someone who builds structure before the storm. Because if I wait until I'm in it, it's not going to happen. It has to have been built prior to now. And that's the beautiful part. And the beautiful part is that you get to make the choice. You can do it too. It starts with one pillar, one plan, one system. It takes a decision. Remember the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. It is who we are. It is who we've built. It's who we've created. Remember I said that if you hear nothing else I say, the one thing that I want you to get is that you're in charge. I tell the story of, and I've never seen this in a Western, but I like Westerns. And you can imagine that you're on a stagecoach. Well, not stagecoach. Let's put you on the back of a chuck wagon, right? I guess it could be a stagecoach. And you're sitting in the back, and the chuck wagon is going across the hills, and right, so it's just boom, 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 and you're heading out with everybody. And somehow it hits a bump, and you fall off. And nobody on the stagecoach or the chuck wagon realizes that you've fallen off. And you're out there by yourself because they've taken off and they're gone. And you start running. And for the rest of that movie, you find yourself just chasing behind. Every time you're just about to grab onto it, it takes off again, or you fall. And you never really catch up to the stagecoach because you never get back on. Because you fell off. Let's take that same idea. But somehow you stay on the stagecoach and you show up in a town. And you look out and you said, you know what? This looks like a nice town. I'm going to get off here. And you get off and you spend as much time in the town as you want. And then you're like, okay, I've had enough time here. So when the stagecoach comes back, I'm getting back on and I'm leaving. The first one where you're chasing behind, where you just reaching out and you can't get back on, that is disempowering because you don't have a choice. You fell off by accident and getting on is just going to be by accident. You have no control. But if you've made the decision to get off yourself, you can spend as much time there as you want because you know you can always make the decision, get back on. Because it is your choice. And when you have systems, the systems give you that level of control. So it's not by chance. It's not by happenstance. It's not by I'm going to grin and bear it. I'm just going to hold on by the skin of my teeth. So here's the idea. That if I have the correct structure, I can succeed wherever I want. Rhythm, alignment, and structure. If I've planned for it, then all the other pillars of the Limitless Living Health Action Plan, all of them become possible and they become powerful because I've planned and I have a structure in place. So as we're moving through fasting, 33 hours now. When we check in tomorrow, it's going to be about 56 hours. And then we check in, it's going to be 72 hours. We're moving through this space. Whatever your fasting plan is, it has to be planned. Whatever structure you need, you got to put it in place. And we have an amazing process that we walk through with you, with all of the elements that are required for you to plug in so that you can be successful with your fast, with your metabolism, because correcting the metabolism is what we're doing, what we want to do. And that's what the Limitless Living Health Action Plan says. And if we are going to do that, we want to be able to fast successfully. We'll continue talking more about this fasting, about structure, how they intertwine. Keep watching. So here's your takeaway and your challenge. Here's your takeaway and your challenge. Build structure around your next fast. Start small. Choose one thing. Set your fasting period window in advance. Okay, I'm going to fast on this day. When we do our check-in, that's why I have you put in which day you're going to fast. Are you fasting on the first day, second day, third day? Are you doing the complete fast with a T? We put that in the comments. Set your intention. What is it going to be? Set it in advance. Plan your last meal in advance. What is the meal going to be prior to fast? And come up with a default meal. So that if you happen to be out and about, and it's like, oh my goodness, I'm supposed to start fasting at whatever time. Oh, but I'm not at the house where whatever it is. Or I didn't plan that. What would the default meal be? For me, the default meal is a salad with a piece of meat and some cheese and some nuts. Boom, that's it. And prep for that process. If you want the fast to change your body, you need to change your environment. You need to change your plan. You need to change your structure. And what I mean by that is that the fasting has to be incorporated into whatever else is going on. I don't mean go out and throw your day and your calendar away, but there has to be space in that for fasting. If it's not there, it doesn't happen, and it's not successful, and it's not consistent. Because here's the truth. Willpower will fail. It will fail you. Willpower will abandon you. But structure, that stays with you. It shows up when you're tired. It speaks when you're confused. It holds you when you start to wobble. So don't just fast. Fast with a plan. Don't just survive. Design your success. And above all, don't just try. I want you to transform and become the person who does fasting and who is doing it successfully, because you've built a life of limitless living. And that, after all, is what we're doing. Awesome. So, all right, let's hop over and let's see. I see some of our community members out there. Let's go over and let's say hello. Let's see. So Steve was telling us about his chicken wings and the food that he ate. And Gian says, amazing. So you eat veggies and chicken. Steve says yes. And if you're just joining us, Steve is usually in ketosis most of the time based on the food that he eats. Chicken and beef tips is the protein we eat. I try to have a protein, a good fat, fiber. My dessert is loaded with proteins, so eggs. That's the creme brulee, I think, Steve, if I recall correctly. Gion says amazing, and thank you, Steve. Rachel, hey Rachel, what's up? Thank you for coming through and hanging out with us. Rachel says, well done, Steve. She says, at Julian, awesome. You guys inspire me. And Gian says, hi, Rachel. Yeah. This is amazing community, which actually gets us to the fact that what we do, and whenever you hear me talking, whenever you hear me in my teaching mode, right, I teach based on the Triple E formula for success. When I'm thinking about what I'm going to talk about, when I am talking to people in the office, when I talk to my clients, when I talk to our coaching folks, when I do talks, I'm thinking in Triple E formula for success. Educate, empower, and encourage. That is the success. That is the platform for success. We educate to change the mindset, to teach you the fundamentals that you need to understand if you are going to make changes. How does the body work? How does the mind work? What are the reasons for some of the things that you find yourself doing all the time that you're like, man, I don't understand why I do that. There is a reason for that. So we educate. We empower with the tools. Fasting is a tool. Strength training, strength strategy and mindset, that's our series, that's a tool. The 100-day walk to consistency and health, that is a tool. Balanced bites, limitless living health action plan, the HEAT model, the COPE model, all of those are tools that you have available to you to help you implement the things you're learning as we educate. And the amazing community, as Rachel just said, the community is amazing because the community is there to push and pull and carry and allow us to lean on each other, to be inspired by the successes that we're each having. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. That is the platform. That is what we do. And when I'm talking to you, when I talk to people and I'm teaching, this is what I do. But as I'm looking at your lives, as I'm looking for where you are, my question is, what is your rhythm? What is your goal? What is your North Star statement? What do you say you want? What is your why? The rhythm. What is your alignment? Is there alignment? The things that you're doing on a daily basis, the structure, right? The plan, are the things you're doing in keeping with where you say you want to go? Is the blueprint that you have consistent with where you say the product you say you want to end up with? Rhythm, alignment, and structure. Do you have the things in place that takes away takes away the decision for you every moment? Do you have to make a decision every single moment that this is what you're going to do, or do you have something in place that keeps you heading in that direction? We educate, we empower, and we encourage. And we're looking to see, do you have rhythm, alignment, and do you have structure? That's what we do here. That's why I enjoy doing what I do. We'll be back tomorrow as we do our pop-up live around 1:30, 1:15, 1:30 for our as we do our check-in. If you are fasting with me, if you fasted, put day 1, day 2, put a 2, day 3, put a 3, and then of course if you're doing all the days, you put a T, because we'd love to have you come join us. Join us tomorrow afternoon. And then tomorrow evening we'll do our check-in again. We'll do our check-in at 9 o'clock. For our community members, we'll have our community meetup tomorrow at 7 o'clock. If you're not part of the community, this is a great time to join so that you can be involved with that as we do some coaching, do some conversation about what's going on in our lives, and get to encourage each other. There should be a join button down there somewhere. Click that and become a part of the community as we are working to be successful together. Okay? And then on Friday, we'll do our complete review of fasting, how to get into the fast, how to move through the fast successfully, and how to end the fast. And you get to see what I'm going to eat to break the fast. If you have a recommendation, if you have something that you want me to eat at that time, send it in and we'll see how we can what we can do. We did do we have 2 things that we're doing currently. So last week, or a couple weeks ago, Pam gave us a suggestion for a salad, which we've been actually using several times now. And then our meal last week was inspired by Cornelia, who had me do that meal. We modified it a little bit, but that was inspired by her. So if you have something you want me to eat, go ahead and drop that in the comments, in the chat, send me a message, send me a picture, because we'd love to get that. On Saturday night at 9 p.m., we have Video from the Vault. On Sunday morning, This Week in Review, and then we will be right back here next Monday for Dwain Woode MD Live as we continue our path to how do we improve our metabolism and how do we continue living that limitless life. Join us for our Strength, Strategy, and Mindset in the morning as we continue that series. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with me. I love being in the space. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. We'll see you at our next show. Good night, everybody.